A TikTok star with 21.7 million followers. But now under fire for a long list of disturbing scandals, including grooming accusations, abusive relationships, and shocking online behavior that's left even her most loyal fans divided.
I ain't showing up unless I'm getting paid. Get the out my motherfucking trap house.
Because the internet isn't just for dancing anymore. It's become a place where creators get exposed for everything from cheating to grooming. And right now, we're diving into the chaotic saga of Zoe Laverne.
Where did they come from?
What's hard to fix?
That.
Zoe's being called out once again, this time by the very teen she was caught kissing years ago.
She did discuss with me on the phone that she liked me. I thought she was messing around. I thought it was just a funny little prank. She told me that she liked me and that when she came to visit me in May, she wanted to hold my hand. She wanted to, kind of be more intimate.
He says the inappropriate contact began when he was just 12 years old, and that the case was buried because Zoe threatened self-harm. But that's not all. Zoe's also been accused of cheating on her ex, Cody Orlov, being emotionally manipulative, and even harming her pet on camera. However, the list doesn't end here. And even though Zoe's posted countless videos trying to clear her name, fans aren't buying it anymore. Comments range from, "It's just weird, like, how did she find out that the cat loves being thrown in the air?" to catching feelings, "Ain't nothing attractive about a 13-year-old boy even when you're 13 too." Once a beloved teen idol, Zoe Laverne is now being called the internet's most gruesome tale. Victim, manipulator, or just misunderstood? That's up to you. Because today we're breaking down every chaotic, jaw-dropping chapter in the rise and fall of Zoe Laverne. Buckle up. Zoe Laverne is a 23-year-old TikToker and internet personality from Indiana, USA, who first rose to fame on the now-defunct app Musical.ly. Before TikTok became the cultural force it is today, Musical.ly was the original launchpad for teen creators, and Zoe was one of its early breakout stars. She started posting lip-sync videos and short dance clips when she was just 13 or 14 years old. Her look was instantly recognizable: platinum blonde hair, heavy mascara, and that very specific 2017-era e-girl energy. But what really made her stand out was her intensity. Zoe wasn't just doing trends, she felt every song, every stare into the camera. She performed like it mattered, and it worked.
I'm crazy for thinking my love could hold you. I'm crazy.
By age 16, she'd already hit over 2 million followers, and her videos were regularly hitting the trending page. Even before the Musical.ly TikTok merger in late 2018, Zoe was already pulling in major numbers and building a fiercely loyal fan base, especially among teenage girls.
There's a point where self-confidence becomes a kind of insanity.
How is that for a position for the piano, madam?
It's not right, but I'm nice. So leave.
Zoe from other creators wasn't just her ability to follow trends. It was also how much of herself she shared online. She didn't keep things polished or curated. She let people in. If she was heartbroken, she cried on a live stream. If she were in love, fans knew every detail. She treated her followers like a built-in diary, which made them feel deeply connected to her. It also made her life incredibly public. By the time TikTok fully took off, Zoe had successfully transitioned to the new platform and grown even faster. Her follower count skyrocketed past 17 million, and she expanded to YouTube and Instagram with vlogs, music covers, relationship Q&As, and the occasional dramatic rant. Her brand was chaotic, emotionally, and completely unfiltered, and that's exactly why people couldn't stop watching.
So, yeah, let's get started.
Even her romantic life became part of the content. Fans followed her very public relationship with fellow creator Cody Orlov like it was a Netflix series, complete with ups, downs, makeups, and breakups, all documented in real time. This was more than just content. For many fans, it was personal, but all that attention came with a cost. The more Zoe opened up, the more the internet started dissecting everything she did, how she acted, what she said, who she dated, and how she responded to criticism. She had millions of supporters, but just as many waiting to call her out. By 2020, Zoe was a full-blown internet figure with an audience invested in every move she made. The line between her personal life and her online persona had completely blurred. Every fight, every breakdown, every "I'm quitting social media" moment turned into content. And once you hit that level of exposure, everything, good or bad, becomes amplified.
Me that she's gonna pass me, and I just want to prove this that I am better than her because I am Zoe Laverne and I am literally the star of.
That's how Zoe Laverne's story began. A teenage girl who overshared her way to stardom, gained millions of fans, and became one of the most talked about creators on TikTok. But with all that fame, something else started brewing beneath the surface. And that's where things started to unravel. Zoe Laverne had built her brand on being raw and real. But when you're broadcasting your every thought and emotion to millions, it only takes one moment to shift the public's perception. And that moment came in early 2020, when Zoe found herself in a full-blown internet feud with the one person no TikToker wanted to beef with, Charli D'Amelio. At the time, Charli was still new to TikTok fame. She joined the platform in mid-2019 and within months was rising faster than anyone had before. While most creators welcomed Charli's success, or at least stayed silent, Zoe didn't. She felt threatened, and instead of hiding it, she let the world see every raw second of her jealousy. A video leaked showing Zoe sitting on the floor, crying uncontrollably in what appeared to be a personal meltdown over Charli's rapid rise. It was a full-on emotional spiral. In the now infamous clip, she sobs, "I've been literally crying about this for like an hour because it's just so pathetic that she just comes in and almost like she's so close to passing me. And everybody's reminding me that she's gonna pass me, and I just want to prove this, B, that I'm better than her."
I'm literally crying about this for an hour because it's just so pathetic that she just comes in and almost passes. She's so close to passing me, and everybody's reminding me that she's gonna pass me, and I just want to prove this that I am better than her because I am Zoe Laverne.
It only escalated from there. Through tears and rage, she continued that she was literally the star of TikTok, and Doug was putting her down and boosting herself up. She even stated that she was about to go to TikTok headquarters and strangle their necks.
I am Zoe Laverne and I am literally the star of TikTok.
The meltdown felt raw, too raw. But instead of sympathy, the internet responded with backlash. Zoe had unintentionally positioned herself as the mean girl in a scenario where Charli, the sweet, seemingly humble dancer from Connecticut, was the clear fan favorite. Charli hadn't done anything to provoke her. She hadn't shaded Zoe. She hadn't even responded. She was just succeeding. And to many, Zoe's breakdown felt less like a moment of vulnerability and more like a jealous tantrum over losing the crown.
He's putting me down and boosting her up, and I'm about to go to TikTok headquarters and strangle their neck.
This was a shift in energy. Up until then, Zoe had been one of the most followed girls on the platform. But now, fans were watching a changing of the guard in real time. Zoe was spiraling, and Charli was blowing up. The timing couldn't have been worse. As the clip spread like wildfire across TikTok, Twitter, and drama channels, Zoe tried to do damage control. She claimed the video was old. She insisted it had been taken out of context. She said she'd already privately apologized to Charli, even sending a long paragraph to clear the air.
That it was right when she was blowing up, and I already texted her personally and apologized in a whole paragraph for my actions.
But none of that slowed the backlash. Fans weren't buying it. The more she tried to explain, the more people saw her as bitter, petty, and desperate.
It's old shit. It happened months ago. Get over it, guys.
Don't
I
talk on
love
my
Charli.
live because I'm using you for clout, so I don't think you should show your face on my social media.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So,
While you're at it, can I have your debit card?
What made things worse was Zoe's aggressive tone toward fans and critics in the aftermath. In a separate clip, she lashed out, saying, Don't talk about my life because I'm not using you for clout, so I don't think you should show your face on my social media.
Don't talk about my life because I'm using you for clout, so I don't think you should show your face on my social media.
The comments only made the situation worse. It didn't help that Charlie never publicly acknowledged the feud, which made Zoe's outbursts feel even more one-sided. The contrast between the two girls couldn't have been more obvious. Charlie stayed quiet and graceful. Zoe was loud, emotional, and increasingly erratic. To Zoe, this moment was likely just another unfiltered rant, but to the internet, it was her first real fall from grace. It was the first time her audience collectively turned on her. It was no longer just Zoe versus the haters this time. The hate was coming from people who once supported her. And for Zoe, who had built her entire brand on being the relatable queen of TikTok, that rejection hit hard. She wasn't used to losing the narrative. She wasn't used to losing followers. But in the weeks after the feud, the numbers dropped. Her name trended for all the wrong reasons. And T-Pages had a new favorite headline: Zoe Laverne is jealous of Charli D'Amelio. Zoe would later chalk it up to being young, emotional, and overwhelmed. And in some ways she was. But once that video went viral, her reputation never quite recovered. It was no longer just about her content, it was about her character. And that's a much harder thing to rebuild once it starts to crack. The feud with Charli wasn't her worst controversy, not even close. But it was the first real sign that Zoe Laverne's rise to the top might be a little more fragile than it seemed. And unfortunately, it was only the beginning. If Zoe Laverne's feud with Charli D'Amelio was her first public stumble, what came next was far more serious and far less forgivable in the eyes of the internet. By mid-2020, a video began circulating online that showed Zoe allegedly using the N-word while singing along to a song. The clip wasn't long. It wasn't high quality, but it was enough. Zoe appeared to say the racial slur casually, without hesitation, and the internet did not stay quiet. Fans, critics, and former supporters alike called her out, accusing her of being racist, ignorant, and careless with her platform. What made the situation worse was that Zoe didn't immediately address it. For days, as the backlash grew louder, she stayed silent. No apology, no clarification. That silence in the world of influencer accountability is practically gasoline on a fire. Eventually, Zoe responded on Instagram Live. But instead of offering a direct, unqualified apology, she claimed the clip was old and was released in 2016, although Motorsports itself was released in 2018. She insisted, "It's a lip sync, baby," she said. In 2016, Musical.ly, everybody on Musical.ly, a lot of people did it, because it wasn't a big deal back then. It was just like, okay, cool. And that people were trying to bring her down. Some even supported her claim, while others did not. Whether she intended to say it or not, the moment struck a nerve. In the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests that dominated headlines that summer, the internet had very little patience for influencers being vague or defensive about racism. Viewers were demanding accountability, and they weren't getting it. Instead of de-escalating this situation, Zoe's reaction only made things worse. Critics accused her of gaslighting her audience and refusing to take accountability. Others pointed out that this wasn't a one-time issue. It was part of a larger pattern of impulsive, tone-deaf behavior. At a time when other influencers were educating themselves, donating, or amplifying Black voices, Zoe was on live stream trying to prove she hadn't said a slur while also playing the victim.
So when niggas see me, they jump on my. You bitches catching a fade. Shout out my little booze. I tell all my niggas, cut the check.
She later posted a written apology, this time taking more ownership. But by then, the damage had been done. The controversy became one more entry on a growing list of missteps, and it further fractured her already fragile reputation. Some fans forgave her, many didn't, and drama channels had another scandal to add to her timeline. While Zoe wasn't canceled in the traditional sense, the racial slur controversy marked a turning point in how she was perceived. In the fast-moving world of TikTok, one mistake can be forgotten in days. But when the mistake involves racism, whether intentional or not, it tends to leave a permanent stain. And for Zoe Laverne, this incident added a new layer to her public image, one that she's never fully shaken off. After the racial slur controversy, Zoe Laverne was already walking on thin ice with the public. But what came next turned online criticism into full-blown outrage. The internet had seen influencer breakups before, which were often messy, emotional, and performative. But Zoe's cheating scandal with Cody Orlov wasn't just another heartbreak story. It became a case study in toxic relationships, emotional manipulation, and the internet's very real limits for sympathy. Zoe and Cody had always been a turbulent couple. They started dating in 2017 when both were still teenagers and quickly became TikTok's it couple, making cringeworthy videos, collaborating on YouTube, and racking up millions of views from fans obsessed with their on-again, off-again dynamic. Their chemistry was undeniable, but so was their instability. From live-streamed fights to public breakups, everything about their relationship screamed chaos. But in early 2020, things took a dark turn. Rumors began circulating that Zoe had cheated on Cody. At first, it seemed like internet noise until a video leaked showing Zoe kissing another guy. It wasn't edited. It wasn't vague. She was clearly intimate with someone who was definitely not Cody. Fans went into detective mode comparing dates, live streams, and social posts. It didn't take long before hashtag Zoe Cheated started trending on TikTok and Twitter. Zoe's response came, as always, via live stream. Eyes puffy, crying uncontrollably, she claimed that Cody had been emotionally abusive, that he made her feel unwanted, unloved, and isolated. She said she kissed another guy because she was hurting, and that the relationship had been toxic for a long time.
Never. Okay, never.
But then she said something that took the situation even further. Zoe claimed that Cody had gotten physical with her. She alleged that he had slapped her and was emotionally manipulative throughout their relationship. She described feeling trapped and broken and said that her mistake, the kiss, wasn't about betrayal, but desperation, a way to feel like she mattered to someone again. Fans were stunned. Abuse allegations are never light. But instead of full support or sympathy, the internet reacted with suspicion and in some cases flat-out anger. People pointed out how often Zoe cried on live streams when under scrutiny. They questioned her motives, especially since the cheating video was undeniable. And then came Cody's side. Cody broke his silence in his own way, through a now-deleted Instagram post and subtle statements in group chats that later got leaked. He admitted that things between them had gotten too intense but not physically aggressive, but flipped the script by saying that Zoe had also been physically demanding with him. He never outright denied the accusations, but he made it clear that she wasn't the only one hurt or doing the hurting. And suddenly fans were caught in a narrative that no longer fit into simple boxes. This wasn't just about cheating anymore. It wasn't just about betrayal.
I got cheated on. I found out that she kissed another guy that morning. And 3 hours before that video, 3 hours before that audio clip, I was crying in the basement for 3 hours while you slept. You finally told, well, first of all, she lied like 4 times until she actually said that she kissed someone.
Now it was about mutual toxicity, blurred boundaries, and a young couple completely out of their depth, spiraling in real time. What was once TikTok's favorite relationship had become a cautionary tale for everything that goes wrong when fame, youth, and unresolved trauma collide.
Never. Okay, never. Okay, that's doing Cody's whole comment section on his freaking live right now on Musical.ly. It's literally, oh, Zoe cheated. No, I didn't. That's not what happened.
But Zoe wasn't done talking. In another live stream, still reeling from backlash and Cody's silence, she said something chilling. Between sobs, she told her viewers she didn't want to be alive anymore. She felt everyone turning against her. She begged Cody to respond, to defend her. She claimed the hate online was pushing her over the edge, that she was receiving death threats, and that she felt completely abandoned, even by the people she thought were friends.
Yeah, like, let it go. It's done with. It's over with. It's the situation's like...
He didn't even...
Quit talking shit, Cody.
Dawson didn't even go live.
Her friends tried to console her on camera, but nothing seemed to help. The internet watched in stunned silence. It was a raw, unfiltered breakdown that left people divided. Some were heartbroken, fearing for her safety, but others were furious.
I'm so done. Let me see that.
Cody?
Let me see that.
I know, guys, I know she's getting hate. Get her.
because this wasn't the first time Zoe had used a live stream as a form of crisis management. Critics argued she was weaponizing her mental health, using suicidal threats to silence criticism or deflect accountability. Mental health professionals and even fellow creators chimed in. They said her pain was real, but going live during that kind of crisis was not just unsafe for her, it was potentially traumatic for her audience, many of whom were young and impressionable. Cody, meanwhile, said little publicly, including that he was ending the relationship.
I would want us to get back together, but we can't come back from this, and I know that I'm way happier without her, which hurts me even to say that. I just wanted to go back to like the normal days where we were the old Zoe, and we didn't have this problem.
The internet filled in the gaps. People began rallying around him, viewing his silence as maturity. They called him a victim of cheating, of emotional chaos, maybe even physical abuse. His follower count surged, while Zoe's began to nosedive. His comments were flooded with hate for Zoe and sympathy for him. Then Zoe tried to apologize.
But I just wanted to say to my friends that I've hurt, that I'm sorry, and I love you.
She admitted the kiss. She admitted the relationship had been volatile. She even acknowledged that she had made mistakes, big ones. But every apology came with a justification, an explanation that painted her less as someone who hurt someone else and more as someone who had been hurting too much to control her actions. And that, more than anything, is what hardened public opinion against her. Cody was so done with her.
The mental manipulation is insane. I may act like a child. I'm not going to get over it, though. I'm not going to get over it. You can tell me to get over it. You can tell me that I'm obsessed. I don't care. She has taken everything away from me for clout.
Fans who once made fan pages and TikTok montages of Zoe started deleting their content. Creators who had once collaborated with Zoe distanced themselves. She became persona non grata on the app that once made her a star. The cheating scandal and the emotional firestorm that followed broke her image.
3 hours before that video, 3 hours before that audio clip, I was crying in the basement for 3 hours while you slept. You finally told, well, first of all, she lied like 4 times until she actually said that she kissed someone.
Her brand had always been built on emotional vulnerability. But after the constant live streams, the crying, the explosive allegations, and the back and forth storytelling, it no longer felt like honesty. It felt like a performance, a desperate scramble for sympathy. What made it worse was how young her audience was. Teens and preteens were watching someone spiral online without any safety net or filter. And for many, it was triggering, manipulative, or simply too much. Cody eventually resurfaced with a calm statement saying he wanted to heal privately and move on from the drama. He took the high road, or at least stayed out of the dirt. And in the world of influencer drama, silence can often speak louder than any clapback. If the cheating scandal was the beginning of the end for Zoe Laverne's public image, what came next obliterated it. In late 2020, screenshots and screen recordings began circulating across TikTok and Twitter. The footage showed Zoe Laverne, then 19 years old, kissing 13-year-old Connor Joyce, also a TikTok personality, and someone she had frequently collaborated with. What started as light suspicion turned quickly into national headlines with serious accusations. Predatory behavior, and inappropriate contact with a minor. But what's more, he was the same person for whom Zoe had cheated on Cody. The internet couldn't take it anymore. The video clearly showed them kissing. There was no ambiguity, there was no denying it. But the most disturbing detail wasn't just the age gap, it was the power dynamic. Zoe had millions of followers. She was a verified creator. Connor was barely a teenager, still in middle school, with a fan base largely tied to Zoe's. People called it what it looked like. Critics said Zoe had emotionally manipulated a younger boy who looked up to her. She had mentored him, brought him into her social circles, and then crossed a line that legally and ethically should never be blurred. It wasn't just about a kiss. It was about influence, control, and taking advantage of youth under the guise of friendship. Zoe's response was denial, then defensiveness. First, she went live, saying there was nothing going on between her and Connor. She said they were just close friends, that people were taking it out of context. But the internet had the context, a grown adult kissing a minor. Her defense didn't hold.
And it's bothering the both of us because Connor doesn't like people calling me a pedophile. Like, I know he doesn't. Even though I can't talk to him, I know it's hurting him because he knows that I'm not like that. He knows that I'm not a pedophile. And my friends know that I'm not a pedophile. I've talked to everybody about this. I've talked to my friends, my family, his family. And we just want it to stop. We don't want this to be a bigger deal than it is. It's pathetic, and it's not something that we wanted to be on the internet, and that's why we didn't tell anyone. That's why we kept it to ourselves, because we realized it was wrong.
The relationship was never sexual and that they were just really close emotionally.
It just happened. We both were in a dark place.
The internet had the context, a grown adult kissing a minor. Her defense didn't hold. Then in the same live stream, Zoe admitted that the kiss happened. She cried on camera, saying she and Connor had caught feelings for each other, but insisted it was not. She said the relationship was never sexual and that they were just really close emotionally. That made it worse. TikTok users, parents, creators, and child safety advocates began speaking out. They argued that what Zoe was describing was building emotional intimacy, using status to bond with a minor, and then escalating that into physical affection. Even if it wasn't sexual, it was predatory. And Zoe said it wasn't worth creating such a big issue out of it.
People are making it such a big issue. I'm not a pedophile. I'm not a pedophile.
One person even commented, citing her exact words in a very harsh way. I'm not a pedophile, I just caught feelings for a 13-year-old once. That's like saying, oh sorry, I'm not a murderer. I only murdered one person. The pressure mounted. People demanded legal action. Hashtags like Zoe Laverne's over party and Protect Connor trended. Zoe lost thousands of followers, brands cut ties, and even TikTok began quietly suppressing her content on the For You page. At the time, Connor Joyce stayed mostly silent. His parents issued statements saying they were aware of the situation and were taking appropriate steps. That only fueled more speculation. Was a case being opened? Were lawyers involved? Nobody knew. And all Zoe had to say was, sorry.
And I don't mean to I don't want you guys to think that I'm just making excuses, because no excuse in the world can justify my actions and what I've done. But I am sorry again, and I will continue to say that for the rest of the time that I'm on social media, because I do feel awful for it, and I wasn't in the right state of mind. I was going through a lot.
Zoe, meanwhile, tried to control the damage. In one post, she claimed people were ruining her life and repeated that the kiss wasn't planned. Those emotions just got out of hand. That she was happy with him, but then she crossed a line that turned the backlash into rage.
Connor was my best friend, still is, even though we can't talk. He's still my best friend, and he made me happy in many different ways, and I made him happy in many different ways. We both were really close and caught feelings, and we didn't really understand what was going on. And even though people will say well, you're old enough to realize it's wrong.
She accused Connor of having feelings for her. She also said, you can't go to jail for kissing someone. That moment flipped everything. Critics accused her of shifting the blame to a child, of trying to justify her behavior by implying consent from someone who couldn't legally give it, and most of all, refusing to take true accountability.
That's true. I did my research, and I've already spoken to police about it, because I didn't want to put myself in something that...
Creators across the app, many of them women who had once worked with Zoe, publicly cut ties. They said they couldn't support someone who crossed boundaries with a minor and then tried to spin the narrative. Then came Connor's side. A long time after the scandal, Connor finally broke his silence. In a YouTube video, he confirmed the kiss. He said it happened while they were spending time together at a creator's house. He admitted he looked up to Zoe, that he trusted her, and that things got confusing for him. He didn't go into full detail, but the message was clear. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a situation that made him uncomfortable.
After the show, I was talking with her. She brought me upstairs to see the venue. It was more of a secluded thing from the rest of the people that were there to attend. I also attended another one in December of 2019, so by the third time of me meeting her in person, she knew who I was just based off of seeing.
Connor didn't call her a outright, but he made it clear that he didn't feel okay about what happened and that he had not initiated it. His tone was calm, measured, and respectful. But the subtext was obvious. He felt hurt, confused, and exploited. His video sent shockwaves. If there were any lingering doubts about Zoe's behavior, they were gone now.
Now keep in mind, I still was very highlighted by the fact that this girl was in my life because it was a surreal thing to me that I was too afraid to speak up and have her hate me and wonder where things would end up.
Zoe was called out again, but instead of disappearing, she doubled down. She said Connor's video was just his truth and accused haters of pushing him to speak out against her. In a baffling move, she posted TikTok videos dancing to audios that mocked cancel culture, laughing, lip-syncing to "I don't care" lyrics, and even posting a caption that read, "Coming back to TikTok after being canceled for the 100th time." People were disgusted. At this point, most fans weren't angry, they were exhausted. Every time Zoe got caught in controversy, she cycled through the same script. Denial, live stream tears, apology, then deflection. But this time it wasn't drama, it was criminal-level behavior. And the longer she stayed online, the more people felt the platform was enabling it. In the end, Connor moved on. He didn't drag her. He didn't post dramatic videos or turn the situation into content. He didn't have to. His quiet, composed response spoke louder than anything Zoe had said. He was a kid who trusted someone older, and that trust was broken in public, under the worst kind of spotlight. And when he finally told his side, people believed him because his story never changed, and he didn't ask for sympathy or attention.
I was at her house, and she had kind of just thrown herself on top of me and asked me if I was ready. My heart was beating super fast, and I still specifically remember her asking me, "Are you okay? Like, your heart's beating super fast, are you okay?" And I was in a moment of shock. I never thought things would ever evolve to this level. This girl had 20 million followers. I knew she had a career on the line. I always told myself she would never, ever do anything to mess with her career or ruin her career. In this moment, I was in a state of shock. She asked me if I was okay and if I wanted to, and I responded with yes, although my body language was very obvious that I was uncomfortable with the situation. This was a continuous event that continued to happen over and over again.
Zoe, on the other hand, posted a recycled Notes app apology and promised to heal. But less than a week later, she was back on TikTok, lip-syncing and dancing like nothing had happened. Her captions mocked cancel culture. She brushed off criticism like she was being bullied for a bad outfit, not accused of crossing legal lines with a minor. And that's what stuck. Not just the kiss, not just the accusations, but the fact that after everything, after traumatizing a kid, after getting caught on camera, after blaming him, she laughed. She treated it like another drama arc in her influencer storyline. Zoe Laverne didn't get canceled. She self-destructed. And unlike the petty internet feuds or cheating rumors, this wasn't just a scandal. It was a tale of what happens when clout blinds people to consequences, and when fame protects someone who never deserved the platform in the first place. But if you thought the Connor situation was rock bottom, you haven't been on Zoe Laverne's internet long enough. Because the next scandal we're going to talk about is somehow even more bizarre, and it started with a cat. It happened live, again, because of course it did. Zoe was in her room surrounded by the usual chaos, when her hand landed on a cat, and without skipping a beat, she tossed it straight into the air. Not gently, not playfully, she threw the cat. It flipped, and Zoe laughed like a maniac, as if it were the funniest thing in the world. Clips of the moment spread like wildfire. TikTokers were reposting it with captions like "This is not okay," and pet lovers from every corner of the internet called it out for what it was: animal cruelty. People weren't exaggerating. You could literally hear the cat hit the ground and scurry away. There was no cuteness, no play, no remorse, just Zoe giggling as if she hadn't just tossed a living animal like a toy. Later, she justified her actions with this gem of a comment: "Cats like being thrown." That one sentence sent the internet into a tailspin.
Love him so, like it makes me do it.
And per usual, Zoe responded the same way she always does when the backlash hits. She acted confused. She claimed the cat was fine. She said people were too sensitive. that she's had cats her whole life and they've never had a problem with it. Zero accountability. No understanding of why people were genuinely upset. And the worst part was the laughter because it felt cold, really cold. Just when it looked like she couldn't do more damage, she managed to spin the narrative one more time, this time using her daughter. Zoe had recently given birth to her baby girl Emerson, and the internet, already skeptical about her parenting, was watching closely. But instead of staying quiet and enjoying time with her newborn, Zoe announced something nobody saw coming. She was launching a paid Instagram page just for the baby photos. And it wasn't cheap either, $15 a month to follow. There was no blog, no parenting journey, no cause, just images of her daughter locked behind a paywall. People were stunned. This was disturbing. Parents, influencers, and even other creators came forward and begged her to rethink it. They pointed out the obvious danger. Posting photos of your newborn online is already risky. Putting them behind a paid wall is just a predator's dream scenario. But Zoe didn't care. She kept advertising the page like it was an exclusive merch drop. "Come support me and Emerson," she wrote in one story. "You get to see all the cutest pics nobody else can." A post even stated she was doing it to pay her hospital bills. Like, really? And when the backlash started pouring in, she doubled down. She called everyone jealous and bitter and claimed that if people really cared about her daughter's safety, they'd support her instead of tearing her down. She posted screenshots of subscription numbers like they were trophies, and again, no apology. Even people who had defended her during the cheating scandal or stuck around after the racial slur controversy tapped out. They weren't going to support her mother who used her baby as bait for cash. Whether it's throwing a cat, paywalling baby photos, or spiraling through public breakdowns, Zoe Laverne has built a career out of chaos. And somehow, no matter how far she falls, the internet keeps watching. What are your thoughts about Zoe Laverne and her all-time drama? Comment about it and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into insane controversies. Thanks for watching.